Hey guys, Chris Brown from Train Boston coming at you with another wellness moment. Today I want to talk to you about something that is part of every link of the wellness chain. That's variety and novelty. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, variety and novelty are something that humans crave in every aspect of their life. They want a variety of foods, they want a variety of exercise choices, they want a variety of scenery, they want a variety of friends and activities, basically everything. And if you think for a moment, introspect for a little bit, you'll find that this pretty much rings true for almost everything in your life. Now, some people are a little different than others. Some people like that consistency, they don't like too much change. Other people like change all the time. Uh, of course, this is invariably going to be something that's never going to be exactly the same person to person. But in the fitness world and wellness world, we notice this happens all the time with things that can make us slip up on our goals. Many people are attracted to workouts that provide a variety of movements. Maybe they want to have group workouts more often. Maybe they want to have outdoor workouts. They just want variety. Now, that isn't necessarily bad, but it can lead to people straying off the path for their goal. In training, even when we focus on specific lifts for a sport or event, we crave the novel stimulus of maybe breaking the PR or being sore or just being better than the person next to you. However, we lose interest quickly if we stop experiencing these novel gains, and often that leads to burnout or someone just giving up. This is why creating a goal of strength gain over fat loss, I find, can be a better motivator. You're going to see results quicker, thus the novel stimulus quicker. And when you get that novel stimulus, you crave more of a novel. You crave more results. And that gets you on a good forward moving path of good behaviors. When it comes to nutrition, variety drives people to eat and drink more volume and also more frequency of eating. Besides the convenience of being served, this is why we love to go to restaurants and bars. We're immediately presented with a plethora of options. We go to the grocery store. We're also bombarded with a variety of sights, smells, and sounds. This goes double for holiday celebrations when we go home to a place where we feel safe and comfortable. And we're being given this huge platter of food, alcohol everywhere. It's literally just super easy to try a little bit of everything. It's a bacchanalia of the senses, basically. When people diet and attempt to lose body fat, one thing they tend to do is they reduce their variety of flavor and crunchiness and different sensations in an attempt to get more consistency. And why is that? Well, it's because it works. The problem is eventually the pull of variety and novelty is going to have a very real physiological effect on people that's very difficult to resist. Most people can't just push through it. Maybe they can do it for a little while, but even people like myself who are pretty well trained are eventually going to fall apart with that, because this is something that requires willpower, which is a finite resource. So what we got to do is create a plan that allows for that variety while not really veering too far off our path. You can look at it like a training thing. When we increase volume of training, we may need to lower our intensity. Now, if you're doing a lot of restrictive eating, you got to look at that a little differently. We can't do restrictive eating that's too hard for too long, or else we're gonna fall off. Or in some other matters, maybe you keep doing it, but then you start to go too far and you're lacking micronutrients and you're becoming unhealthy. We don't want that either. So I started looking into a few studies to talk about this, and there was one very recently done in Nature Neuroscience, and what it is, it did some studies on some rats and stimuli in their brain, in the thalamus specifically. The thalamus relays sensations and motor signals to the cerebral cortex, and they noticed that there was a more vigorous activity to novel stimulus rather than one that's presented over and over again and repetitive. Basically, they played noises for rats, and the first time the rat heard a noise, it was the thalamus was very active. The second time they played the same noise, it quickly became something they didn't care about, more like white noise. But when they played a new sound, the thalamus again was very, very active. And they did a few different things. I can link the study, but basically they showed that this relationship suggests a variety of underlying cognitive and conditioning and emotional processes, and that they can cue different emotional responses. So when you're getting something novel, you can have a very positive response to it, or you can have a dysphoric mood and not so happy response to it. But you can look at that in a self-craving emotional response for food, which is very much everyone's seen, and to a point where you're going to overconsume. And if you restrict too much, you're very likely to have this effect. Recently, they did some brain imaging research, which was done before the pandemic, and to suggest that this monotony of doing the same stuff over and over again and lacking diversity actually made people struggle more to have a good emotional state of being. And I can set a link to that. That was by Heller et al. This year. So they did an MRI study on people where they had them go out and go to different places and report how they felt, happy, sad, whatever. And they found that people who got to go out to a more variety of places were happier. On the MRI, their hippocampus and striatum was more robust. The functional connectivity there between the hippocampus and the striatum was more robust. Thalamus was more active. People were just happier by going out to different places. The same thing, I'm sure, rings true for having different types of food, meeting different types of people, to a point, until it no longer becomes novel. So what can we do as trainers, as nutrition coaches, sleep coaches, as people who are just trying to take ourselves and make ourselves more healthier? Well, we can make some strategies. So as with anything, whenever we are trying to get better, we should sit down and plan things out. We should write out our goal, write out our pillars, what matters to us. All right. So we got to create a goal, of course. And in this case, our goal is to allow ourselves to have a path with some creativity, some variety, some novelty to it. So what I said was write it down, keep it simple for the first few weeks, whether it's a training routine, whether it's a nutritional regime, whether it's sleep or respiration or meditation. Keep it simple. Build a base. You usually are going to be okay within that first period. You can bear down and get it done. But after the first week or two, your body's quickly going to crave something different, especially on, say, the weekends when you're used to having a change in your routine. So what we want to do is we want to make small, easily attainable behavioral goals in those first 2 weeks that will create a sense of achievement, kind of like breaking a PR in your gym workout. We want to give this person or yourself that novel feeling of success. One example is making sure you take a supplement every day, like curcumin and turmeric, or a fish oil supplement. Make sure you drink it with a big glass of water. Something simple like that. And you write it down, you check it off, and that gives you a sense of success, right? That will help right there. Another thing we can do is choose productive exercises and healthy foods that are more likely to be enjoyable by ourselves. So what I mean is, don't just put foods like broccoli and brown rice. Try to put foods in your day. Maybe they're not as healthy as they could be, but they're better than where you were, and you really enjoy eating them. You're still portioning them out. You're still having them at the right times, and you're still trying to get more vegetables, etc. in, but you don't hate these foods, right? And then you want to sprinkle in foods in their exercises and behaviors that are more diverse slowly. For instance, I took my yogurt. First, I added berries to it. Then I added ground up flax seeds to it. I had a plain Jane salad. After a few weeks of having that salad, I started putting pumpkin seeds into it. I put walnuts into it. I put maybe a different type of olive oil into it. I'm making it more healthy, but I'm creating this variety that stops it from being so boring. In the beginning, I might have chicken. It's just plain Jane chicken. But later on, after I've gotten used to my routine, I cook 3 different types of chicken, 3 different seasonings, right? And so I now have my whole week is a lot of chicken maybe, or a lot of fish maybe, but it's different flavors. It gives me that variety so I don't stray away looking for something new and different. You can do this in so many different ways, but it's important that you program it. It's important that you actively try to find something different. Um, Oftentimes we need help. I always say this: you need an emotional spotter. You need someone there on your journey, whether they're going to give you positive and or negative feedback. Often your significant other, they're a good person to have, but they're not the only person you should have. They can fall victim to becoming a patsy in your journey. You want to have someone who can be a little harsh to you too. Um, but find that anchor and plan it all out and do your best. And if you need help, reach out for help. All right. So just realize that we are all slaves psychologically and physiologically to our bodies and our need for variety and novelty. We should accept that that's something we need to work with and make it work to help us find our homeostasis or balance point within our wellness. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Until next time, be well.